Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about this little knife here. It's in good shape, but it's an oldie, and man, is it beautiful. Look at that. It's a single blade equal end jack, and we're going to be talking about this knife and also maybe a little bit about the history of this company. If you've never heard of them, Continental Cutlery Company, maybe you got a knife by them, and maybe we could help you out on who made those knives. And so if you'd like to see more about that, go ahead and check out the video.
They're on an island.
And what's that? Is that a dinosaur?
You copy, guys?
I don't know what it is. Oh, it's those things.
What is that? Get into the cover! Now! Go,
What are they?
Hey, welcome back to the fortified castle. Maybe you're watching this video because you are snowed in. Maybe you're iced in. Maybe you can't get to work, so you got nothing better to do than to watch really cool knife videos. I hope that's the case because I have a lot of them. You guys ought to check out my playlist sometime. You go to my page, look at the top there, scroll up. It'll give you a playlist. You can find out anything. I put all my knives on the playlist. You can find anything you want. So I hope you take advantage of that. Remember, we got a giveaway Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the 20th of January. And then on the 23rd, which is a Tuesday, I'm doing a live show, and I'm going to have Patty's Potato Peeler on there. Lovely person, a lot of fun. And if you haven't checked his channel out, you should check it out. I find that hard to believe. He's been around for a long time, but man, I just like watching his videos. So we're going to talk about this. Before we do, I want to say hi to all my viewers, hi to my foreign viewers. I appreciate all of you. And this knife right here is a 4 1/4 inch equal end. That means both sides are roughly the same. Single blade jackknife. So these knives were the go-to hunting knives back in the day, and probably you would buy this to work also in a trade. They were really sturdy, fairly sturdy, and that's about as big as you would get on these knives. Sometimes they'd go up to 5 inches, but this is a really good size for working. You can see how it fills my hand right there. Very sturdy, very big, thick blade on it. And this knife is hefted in bone. It has been replaced, so I don't really know what originally was on here. I'd say probably wood and maybe bone, but it's a beautiful bone that they replaced it with. Look at that. Really nice. And did a nice job too overall. Pretty good. If this was a manufactured handle, it would have been much smoother. The transition right here, you can see like it transitions really high. So yeah, it would have been a lot smoother. So you have a bone on this, brass pins, brass liners, nickel silver bolsters, and that kind of helps to date the knife too. So if you look in old catalogs back in the late 1800s, this design figures prominently. As I mentioned before, it was the go-to hunting, skinning knife, work knife. And so these were one of the basic designs of knives that you'll find. If you look here, you can see, let's get rid of it. Continental, that's Continental Cutlery Company at the bottom, and New York in the middle. I think the light's playing tricks on us there. But the Continental is in the arch. And, man, this is a nice knife. You hear the walk and talk on that? I can't push it. It's so tight. Really nice. Get the transition on that completely smooth. Come on. There you go. Completely smooth from the blade to the back spring. It's set down some, but that's okay. Let's look inside as long as we're doing this. So, Continental Cutlery Company. There's not a lot of information on this company, and you have to kind of ferret it out. Goins just gives you a couple of tang stamps. This is one, Continental New York Cutlery Company, Continental Cutlery Company, Kansas City, Missouri, and then they list the Clark brothers as a maker of these knives underneath that. So there's a lot more to the history of this company. Continental Cutlery Company was a cutlery company in Sheffield, England, and the information on that is really sparse. So I'm drinking coffee here in between. Go juice on a cold day. So Continental Cutlery Company was purchased by Alfred Fields. If you're aware who he is, he had a big import business. He was a British guy who had an office in New York and brought in a lot of hardware and cutlery from across Europe. He started out in England, and so a lot of his stuff came from England, Sheffield, of course. And finally, in 1888, he buys Continental Cutlery Company in New York. So Alfred Fields, from 1888 up to about 1910, I believe, owned Continental Cutlery Company, and sourced his Sheffield knives from that company. He also brought in knives from Germany and, probably even France. We don't know everything about them. But in 1915, the Clark brothers, who were out of Kansas City, started producing knives that had Continental Cutlery Company on them. I believe that the Clark brothers bought the rights for the trademark and started producing knives under that brand, importing knives under that brand, or producing knives under that brand. And that went on from about 1915 to 1920. In 1929, the Clark brothers went bankrupt. And Alfred Fields passed away in 1910. I think his relatives, probably shortly after that, were divesting some of the company assets, and probably one of them was Continental's name. So the fact that this is not marked Kansas City, Missouri on here, Continental Cutlery, Kansas City, Missouri, tells me it's an earlier knife. Another thing we know is if you suppose that Alfred Fields was the owner of this trademark, we know that Robertson Cutlery Company made knives for Continental Cutlery Company. And we know that through receipts that collectors have found. So that's a positive. And when you look at this knife, I have an old 1910 catalog from Robertson. They don't show this model, but they do show 4 1/4 inch bow tie or gimp shield jackknife that's 2-bladed. So the main blade is exactly like this, and then it had a smaller blade, and of course it was wider to accommodate it. But otherwise it looked exactly like this. And so I think this could have been made by Robertson too. And I don't know, Continental Cutlery Company may have had other manufacturers making knives for them. That would have made sense. But the reason you would have Robertson make this knife is in 1890, you had the tariffs, so imports were 50% more. And so I'm sure Alfred Fields looked for domestic producers of his knives. In fact, Alfred Fields, one of his brands called Progress, were American-made knives. We don't know who made those Progress knives. So I know for sure he lined up American manufacturers to make knives domestically to get around those tariffs. So anyhow, just a stunning little knife. It's, it has some gapping that's kind of normal for use, and the blade here is slightly, the back spring slightly comes down a little, and that's just wear on the pivot pin. Show you this right here. Nice, look how cleaned up that is. And if you go around here, this is really cleaned up too. It's not mirror polish, but it's not a lot of gouging or nastiness on that. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the knife. Put it in these are cars that you would find in the 1920s. This is a 1922 silver dollar, kind of money that you would likely have found in that time frame. This is a little paperclip box from that era, and this is a micrometer from that era. Really cool box. Look at that. Slides open. Really cool. And this company's still in business today. That's amazing. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video and that little bit of history. And stay warm, stay safe. It's so cold out there. And thanks so much for supporting the channel and checking out the video.